Hey y'all, it's Leah. I am here to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to do a process video on making a journal out of just bags and envelopes. So I'm not going to have any paper pages in it. So all of my pages will be either a bag or an envelope. And like I said, this is a little different for me. Normally I have everything kind of planned out. I have an example and I don't do that. I'm not doing that for this one. I want to try something a little bit different and see how that goes. So I have a ton of envelopes and bags in front of me. So my cover is going to be this paper sack that I'm going to fold over. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the handles just yet. I'm sure I'm going to cut them off, but I might try to incorporate them somewhere. So that will be my cover, and I'm going to do that last, and I'll explain why in just a minute. Then I have a selection of a variety of different envelopes. So I just kind of rated my stash. Some are more decorative, some are just plain, but I have a lot of different sizes and shapes. And so that was my goal for that, was to kind of have a mix of things. I love eclectic journals. So that's generally how I work and how I make them, is not having specific, like all my pages usually don't match. They're usually different sizes. I have done some that are more uniform, but this is my favorite preferred style. So then I have a collection of bags. So I have like paper sacks. I have just some little like these are like treat bags. I even have some CD envelopes that should actually go in there. These are like the little cutlery bags that you get from a restaurant, where they put, you know, your fork and knife and stuff inside of those. So I save those when I go places. I have another one of those. And then a couple more just envelopes. I have like a cellophane bag. That I know is going to be a page in my journal. I have planned for that one. And then some more just like little things in there. So these are going to be the pages I'm going to pull from these two piles. And then I have this little selection of little bags and envelopes. So these are some that my mom made just out of like wax paper, parchment paper and stuff. And then I have some little ones. I have some library pockets in there. These little, this is like a little, this was from one of those little like photo tiny journals kind of things. So I'm gonna try to incorporate that somewhere. Little handmade envelopes. This one's kind of printed on. This was packaging from something, so I saved that. And then just all kinds of little bits and bobs, little tiny CD envelopes. That's when they made those like little random ones. Some little vellum envelopes. So these will be probably flips and pockets in the journal. So I'm going to set those aside for now, because we're not going to use those right now. That will come in a later video. This is going to be over a couple of weeks that I'm going to kind of be working on this project. So usually when I do a journal, I'm going to do just a single signature for this. And I usually go between like 10 and 12 papers, but since this is pretty thick, I think I'm just gonna go for like 8. So probably 4 from each pile, maybe 10. I'll kind of see how it goes. But I know it's gonna be a little bit harder to bind. And so I'm probably gonna go on the thinner side, but we'll kind of see how it goes. I also might decide to do 2 signatures. So we'll see. If there's just things that I have to include, then I'm going to do that. And so one thing that I need to think about is, since the size of my journal is going to be like this, I generally don't have pages sticking out from the cover. I will have little things hanging from that. So some of these, like when folded, if I just folded it in half, would be longer than it would stick out a little bit. But there are things that you can do. So I might fold this over and then put it in this way. So I think I like this large size, so I think I'm definitely gonna use that one. So I'll set that to the side. And then I really love this. A friend of mine made these envelopes, so when she coffee dyed, she laid some stencils over it, and I just think they came out beautiful. So I know I want that. I really like the idea of doing this vellum one because I like the little closure in that. And then let's see what else. So I already have one of those. I'm not gonna do that. That's a maybe. I always love the international ones. I had pen pals when I was in school, like in elementary school, and I used to get so excited when I'd get an envelope that looked like this. So that's kind of a cool core memory. And we'll see. I'm just sort of sorting right now as far as what I'm thinking I want to use. I know I want one of these. This is going to be a nature journal, and so I'm trying to go with kind of colors that would sort of go with nature. Just the plain might be interesting. Probably no to that one. And then I think if I already have this, then not gonna do this one, and I think I might do this one. I'm gonna pull this, even though I love it, it doesn't really go with what I'm thinking. So now I'm down. All right, I got that down to 6. Let's see. See how that goes. Now I'm gonna pull some bags. So these will be folded, but some of them I can actually use as like flips and tips and that kind of stuff. So I may not use those. I know I have that one. So, okay, so that's a definite. And then I know I want to use one of these. I think I'll go with the bigger one for that. And not sure about the black with that. So that's going to be a no. And then this one, I think I could do like that, and then I'd cut this end off so that it would be a pocket on both sides, and that can be just a little pocket kind of thing. So I think I'll go with that. And then maybe that one. Maybe that. I think I'm gonna not do the white just because it's kind of bright, which makes me think I'm gonna pull this one out. So I'm not gonna use those. And then I'm undecided. I don't think I want the paper bag because it's gonna go, it's gonna be too similar. Sorry, I need to take a drink of water real quick. It's gonna be too similar to the cover. So now I am left, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at that. See, I knew what I was doing, even though I really did it. So now I'm going to start kind of building. So this one, I know I want to fold probably like this. And I'm going to get a bone folder and give that a good crease. And then I think I'm gonna do it like this. So it'll go in the journal like this, and then I will cut this edge off, and cut this edge off. Or, no, I won't. I'm gonna cut here and cut there, so that way the flaps open. That's what I'm gonna do. So let's go ahead and cut that. I'm just going to give it a little snip and a little snip. So that way when it's in my journal, I can actually get into my little pockets. All right, so that one is good. This, I think, will just fold over. And you want to think about when you're using envelopes, you don't always want to fold inside. So your flaps are always, so sometimes you want to fold this way, just to give some extra interest. And I think for some of these, oh, let me cut this a little bit more. For some of these envelopes, I think I will just glue the flap shut and then cut the sides off. So I'm just gonna kind of work with the envelopes right now. This, I'm thinking, is actually gonna work better as a tip because, no, I'm gonna bind it that way. Never mind. So I think I'm gonna go this way because these don't have glue on them. These are envelopes that my mom made just out of cardstock. And so since it doesn't have glue, I'm just gonna use that kind of bound in this way or this way. Maybe we'll go that way. And then this one I'm gonna do the same, I think. Let me check the size on there. Yes, that will work. So I'm gonna go like this. And let's see. This one I know is going like that. This one I will fold this way and then I will just probably glue that flap down to make a pocket on there. That is gonna go in half. And this we just need to cut off. I could do this with decorative scissors too, and maybe I will try that. Actually, yeah, let me grab my pinking shears and just do that, just to give it a little extra interest. Okay, so we've got that. We'll do this one. I'm gonna do this way. And I'll do the same thing. That. This one, I think, yeah, I think we're just gonna go this. Okay. And then that one, this one almost needs to be in thirds. Fold that. And then we'll fold back that way so that it makes like a little flap there. So as you can see, I don't hem and haw about things. I just sort of wing it and I just kind of go. It's pretty funny to watch my mom and I craft together because she is very meticulous about what she puts where, and I am not. So it's pretty funny. So now I kind of have all of these laid out in front of me, and so now I'm gonna start building. So I know I want this as my cover, or as the first page in my signature. So I'm gonna lay that out, and then I will go maybe with this, and I want to kind of alternate so I don't have all the flaps in kind of one direction. So we'll do that. We'll do this one. Oh, I need to cut that off too. I'm liking the pinking shears. I think that kind of adds a little pizzazz to it. All right, so we'll do kind of alternate that. We'll go with this envelope here. Yeah. Go that way with that. And I'm just going to leave that open. That's going to make it easier for binding together. I think I want this one as my, no, I want this as my center. So we'll go here with that. Do another little bag, and since I have that flap going that way, I'm gonna do this one this way. We're gonna do this envelope going that way. Yes, I will still be able to get in there. Do that. Those are too similar. Try to mix up the sizes a little bit. So we'll go here. And then there. I'm not loving, oh, here we go. Go there. Finish with that one on that, and then this will be our center, and we'll go there. All right, so that is the signature. So now I have to get this. This is the fun part, is to get these all kind of in the right direction. And actually, instead of it kind of going all straight up and down, I think I'm going to move these. That's kind of the cool thing with doing one of these journals, is you can kind of move things around. So I think I'm going to have that going up, that going down. Yeah, we'll kind of, some will go in the center, do that kind of in the center. That will be a little down, and then it just sort of plays around. Yep, that's gonna go that way. That. So like I said, just kind of winging it. And then that way everything is not so straight. And then I'm just gonna kind of fold it so I know they are all kind of in the right space. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use these big paper clips. To hold everything in place so that I can bind it and it'll all stick. It'll all be in the right space. So these are one of the best things that I got. I think I got some at Dollar Tree, and some I had gotten at Joann's before they went out of business. Rest in peace, Joann's. That was kind of sad, especially because I feel bad for, like, especially people who sew a lot, because that's a lot of people got their fabric from there, and there's just not really a good alternative. Okay, I need some water again. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we are ready to bind. See how quickly that kind of came together? Because again, I don't futz about and kind of, you know, go back and forth. And if that is your style, that is totally fine. That's just not how I work. And you'll see that, especially when I do what I'm gonna do next. So to bind it, I need an awl. So something that I'm gonna poke my holes in. I have this foam mat, so that gives me kind of a place to poke down, because you need something that's gonna absorb the awl. And then I have some wax thread that I've already put on my needle. So this is kind of a flat wax thread. It was something my husband had for, like, his leather working, and he's got a giant spool of it, so I always steal it. And I thought, just with kind of going with this nature theme, the light brown really works well with that. And then I need a needle, and this is a dull tipped dull tip needle because you don't really need anything. Being that you're poking your hole with your awl, your needle doesn't have to be super pointy. But if that's all you have, that's totally fine. But sometimes it can kind of dull what you are doing. Okay, so remember I said I don't need my cover right now. That is because I am not going to stitch my signature to my cover. I saw somebody do this the other day and I really thought it was a cool idea, where you just stitch your signature together, but then you take a piece of lace or ribbon or something and tie that around your signature and connect it to your cover. And so that is what I'm going to do again for kind of that rustic feel for this. Okay, and because I am going rustic, I am not measuring. So I just sort of eyeball where I think the middle is. We're going to kind of go about there. And then I'm trying to get it right in the middle of that. And then I just give it a good press. And sometimes I lift it up a little bit and kind of push. So the awl is kind of angled or graduated. So it gets bigger as you go further, because I want to make sure I have a good hole for that so I can get my thread through and I kind of see where I'm going. And then I'm going to go about 1.5 inches, I think, from the top, being that my papers are all kind of cattywampus in there. I want to make sure that I'm getting the majority of them. Some of them are only going to have 2 holes stitched in, and that's totally fine. So we just kind of do that, and then we're going to go about 1.5 inches from the bottom and do that, and then kind of push that through a little bit. As you can see on the awl, it goes from like really small and then it gradually gets bigger. So dependent on the size of the hole that you are going to do. All right. So for your string, or your thread, wax thread works really well because it doesn't pull on the paper as much. So you can pull it kind of tight and not have to worry about it ripping your holes. It's not to say it's perfect. If you pull it too tight, it will tear. So, you know, pull it. It needs to be tight enough, but not like yank it kind of thing. And then you usually do 3 times the length of your signature. And so I probably have I wasn't sure how big my signature was going to be. And so I cut way too much. So the other thing I like about these needles is they have really big eyes, and my eyes are not doing as well as they could be, and so as I get older, and so it's nice to have something that I don't have to like really be precise with, or have to like, you know, fine tune it. So when you do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, you have to decide where you want your strings to be. So where you're going to make your tie. I want them on the inside. So that means I have to start from the inside. If I wanted them not on the outside, then I would start from here. Okay. And you can kind of see, oh, I did a fairly good job of getting that on center. Yay me. Okay. So I'm going to go in through the middle hole. And then when you do that, you would just want to make sure that you're holding on to a little bit, and I try to get my tails a little bit even on there, so that way when I tie them, they will do that. And a little trick that I do is I hook this part into my paper clip, and that way I don't have to worry about, I still don't want to yank it as I'm going through, but then it kind of keeps that taut. Okay, then I'm going to go in through the top hole. I'm going to go all the way down, okay, in through the bottom hole, and then I'm going to go back in the center, and this is the part that you need to watch. So because my string is on this side, then I need it to come up on this side, and you can always move it once you get it through. Okay, and so I'm going to pull my needle off. I'm going to pull this part. Okay, that came out. That's not too bad. They're pretty even. And I'm giving this kind of, you know, a good tightness. I'm checking to make sure that they are flat on the outside. And then I am just going to give that a good knot. Give it another knot. There. So just a little double knot, and I am going to leave this as is. So I'm not going to I'm not going to cut my strings right now because I'm not sure what I want to do with them. I think I'm going to add something to the bottom, whether it is beads or little die cuts or something. I'm not sure, but I want to give myself the option to have that. So I'm not going to, I may even just decide to cut them off. So that is totally fine. Okay. So that is our journal. I think we're under like, you know, what are we at? 15 minutes? Oh no, 25 minutes. Okay. So not too bad. So we've got, you know, our signature is ready to go. I can take the clips off. We don't need those anymore. And everything is in its place. So now we'll kind of fold those things in like that. And then it is ready to bind. And I guess I didn't, no, that's totally fine. I've got more flaps on that side. So I didn't do as good of a job as I thought I was doing, but it is totally fine. I think part of it is because that big envelope is on, since it's facing the front, but that's okay. I am totally fine with that. So it's going to end up going into our journal like this. And we are a little bit over. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to cut this. No. I'm going to cut it with my paper cutter, and then I'm going to glue it shut. So sometimes you have to kind of mess around with your signatures once you have them bound and put into. So I'm just trimming. I trimmed about a 1/2 inch off of that end, and then I will just add a bead of glue to seal that up, being that it does open up. I have the flap. So we'll do that because I do want to be able to get into it this way. We're going to go in through that way. Okay, so this, let's make sure that fits. Nope, our green one is also too long. And that is totally fine. So just going to fold that. Put that in my trimmer. And I'm just doing it on the trimmer just because I do want a nice straight edge for that. I know I said I'm kind of all over the place sometimes, but there are things that I do like straight, pretty edges for. So let's get that glued down. All right, let's do one last check. That should be good. Woohoo! Okay. That came out pretty well. All right, so that is our journal for now. So join me next time where I'm going to start adding in some pockets and some more flip outs and that kind of stuff. And then eventually we will start decorating. All right, thanks for watching. Bye, y'all.